Welcome to the BAM podcast. That's right, BAM, business and money instead of bitching and moaning. This is the 2.0 version of the top 3 podcast, True Underdog. This will give you an inside look at building a business, overcoming business and personal issues, and most of all, not bitching and buying into this bitch-ass cancel culture lifestyle. I'm tired of it. I'm sure you're tired of it. Take it from me, who I built 3 companies and have done over $1 billion in sales in my time. You're going to hear from cool-ass guests as well on my show. You have 0 time to bitch, time to make your move. Let's fucking go. Bam! Bam! Welcome to the BAM podcast. That's right, business and money podcast. And we are super, super, super excited that you've subscribed, that you're listening, that you're trying to better yourself. We just had a show come out called AGB, Always Getting Better. This episode is going to be called What's Your BAM, right? What does BAM mean to you? Like in the solar industry, for me, BAM was building a movement, right? One panel, one customer, one employee at a time. And then as I've evolved, and now that I'm, unfortunately out of the solar business, not from my doing, but from our wonderful shithead friends over at Generac, right? Hopefully their lawsuits keep piling up for what they've done. But needless to say, that went from building a movement in the solar industry of, one panel, one customer, one employee at a time, to business and money, right? How do you monetize your business? How do you make money? Body and mind. How do you find a way to set your body down and be able to control it a little bit more and have it function the way you want it to function, and to stay healthy and to stay, feeling not sluggish, but excited and having energy? Because everyone's like, man, how do you have so much energy? I'm just wake the fuck up with energy, right? And then your mind, right? Things are hard. Things are tough sometimes. I know right now we're going through a transition period with the company, going bankrupt. Again, not by our doing. We have our own problems out there. I don't shy away from that, but we ultimately were the golden child and the darling in the solar business for 7+ years, to overnight having tens of thousands of customers failing, systems not working, being lied to by Generac and its executives, and they kind of hit everything. Now they've got 2 class action lawsuits against them from consumers, and they have got 2 class action lawsuits, and then they've got a class action lawsuit from investors, which is a big deal. So, this is just starting to pile on to them. Eventually the truth will come out, but my family's been through a lot with this, with our BAM, keeping our body and mind under control. It's been hard. My daughters have been harassed. People look at me, they see things on the media and they have their own perception. Oh, this guy did this and made hundreds of millions of dollars, and oh, he's $1 billion CEO. None of that's fucking true. I ran $1 billion company. The company was valued at $1 billion, not once, but twice. We were in transaction mode for almost 2 years, where we did over 200 presentations, had 54 different letters of interest or offers from companies where people were showing interest, whether it be private or public. And we ended up signing off on 2 of them. And one of them was going to be a SPAC in 2021. And then one of them was earlier this year from a company that's already a publicly traded company that already de-SPAC'd. They ended up buying another company, but we had an offer from them in April. And it's funny, I was just listening to a voicemail from the vice president, Michael Rather at Generac, and he was on not a voicemail, a phone call that we had, and it was replaying. It was April, when we finally found out the issues with the firmware were shutting the systems down, and we're on the call blasting them like, man, you got to send letters to these customers. You need to let them know there's tens of thousands of systems failing, blah, 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 blah. And so, of course, I'm like, can we leak the entire thing? No, you can't. Oh, okay. So, because it's part of the lawsuit, right? Because they are getting sued by Power Home Solar / Pink Energy. So, BAM changes sometimes. BAM used to be building a movement. And then it was business and money, because I lost, a lot of money. The company lost a lot of money. I personally put a lot of money back into the business. We took ourselves off payroll for several months. We didn't take any substantial distributions in several years. Everything was, reinvested into the company, thinking we were going public, thinking that, we've been crushing it for 7 years. We have an A+ with the BBB. We're doing all the right things. We're a part of an industry changing, revolutionizing the way people get power. We're atop of the battery attachments, making sure people wouldn't be left in the dark. Like all of those things we were doing, 5 NFL stadiums loved us, a baseball stadium, like doing everything the right way. Literally overnight, it's taken from you. And people ask me, dude, I hear like this is what happened. And, they tried to paint me as like a Wolf of Wall Street guy. And it's like, they don't know me. The listeners out there, you kind of know me. Like, that's not who I am. Am I a hard ass? Yeah. When I'm running a business, do I have zero tolerance for people not putting in effort? Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. I had an 80-20 rule. We keep 80% of the employees. We terminate the bottom 20% not doing what they're supposed to be doing, putting in the efforts, whether it's customer service, whether it's sales, any of that. I haven't changed any of that. So a lot of this hate, a lot of this negativity of people sitting out there hoping and hating, right? Some of them are ex-employees that we've had to fire. We had 2,200 employees. Like, I didn't have but 4 employees report to me, and they had about 30 directors report to them. And then you had, 110 managers or regionals report. Like, it was a pretty big, line for me to, like, me firing someone individually wouldn't happen. But because I was the face and because I was the CEO, those people get upset with me, and just like they would, Elon Musk with Tesla or Jeff Bezos with Amazon, right? And so, you get some hate there, and then you get some hate from customers, rightfully so. They signed up for a product supposed to produce, supposed to work, supposed to do what they're told it's going to do, what the proposal says it's going to do, what they signed up for. And in most cases, it at some point or another, it did do that until it didn't. And some systems never got activated all the way. I mean, there were different timelines of when systems got shut down based on, all of our resources being, utilized and crushed from, over 15,000 failing customers pretty much overnight. That systems were off for months and they didn't know about it, and they're not producing, and, it shut. And it wasn't because the part is what heated up and created fire. This part right here, this Snap RS, right? But what it was is it was the firmware which shut part of the system down. And that's where the confusion comes in, even from the media who doesn't know their head from their ass. They're like, yeah, these customers didn't even have a battery. No shit, Sherlock. They didn't need to have a battery, okay? They had a fucking solar panel, and all we offered since middle of 2020 was Generac, RS snaps to go on the back of each panel and a Generac inverter. They didn't need a battery. But these guys don't even ask to read, they see one line, they make up their own stuff, and they paint the picture, pick on me a little bit. And it's been hard. That's why I want to talk about BAM, right? What is your BAM? How do you overcome that? And that building a movement and building a moment in the podcast, the old podcast, True Underdog, I had to I was going through some identity issues. Like, what's going on here? Like, how are you building this business and doing all the right thing, and then all of a sudden you're punched in the face and your company's being told it's this, and your employees, are being accused of that, and you're being accused of this, and it's just like, what's going on here? And where did all these service tickets come from? And how did we go from 800 phone calls to 30,000 in a month? What the hell is going on? And we had to dig in deep, and then we figured that out. And, towards the end of April, we see the problem. This is every customer that's had a PVRS lockout or a fail or issues they sent a firmware to, and it shut part of their system down, didn't tell nobody. And so these customers have a system supposed to be producing, it's not. So therefore they're like, oh, somebody sold me something doesn't work. They're lying. And then they see, oh, look, there's these other complaints. And I always go back to, we've done the right thing for 7+ years, had an A+ with the BBB. We didn't forget how to sell solar or install solar overnight. This clearly something else, happened, and it was the Generac problem. I call it the Generac Scandal. I call it the Aaron Jagdfeld scandal, him and his lies. Somebody needs to sue his ass personally after all this. But, they knew there was a problem for a long time. They hid it from us. They hid it from the consumers. When we kind of figured out all these complaints and these wave of complaints of systems not working and systems not producing came in, we dialed in for 6 or 8 weeks and figured out, holy shit, this is the problem. And then we're telling Generac, they're like, oh yeah, that is the problem. And then they tell us they have a different solution, which was a new piece. The reason I bring this up, I don't want this episode to be about Generac or Power Home, is BAM sometimes changes. And so, if you ask me in April, if you ask me in March, you ask me in February, April, we changed the name to Pink Energy because we were going public, and we were like, we had a letter of intent to go public. We wanted something bigger than a power and a home and a solar. And so we thought Pink Energy was vibrant and exciting and fresh and meaningful and to do good for others. Super jacked. Literally, right now we're in December. The super jacked in March. And then all of a sudden we're getting a bunch of complaints. We're scratching our head. And then we're changing our name. That was planned for several months in April. And then we're like rejuvenated. Okay, we got to figure out what's going on with those customers. And then we're digging in. And then all of a sudden more problems are coming in, more calls are coming in. And then it's like we're putting out fires. Then we go from a sales and installation company to a service company to customer service company to a replacement warranty company. And that's not what we were built for. And over time, it ate up all our resources and our cash. We weren't getting paid, broken promises from Generac, all of these things to where it became survival mode. We got through the summer and we're like, okay, we can turn this around. We ended up finding more on Generac. We quit selling their old parts and only installing their new parts they assured us were working. We tried to trust them that things were fine, but we were saving information in case we had to sue them. And August 1st, we decided to sue them because they wouldn't pay for the refunds we were giving customers for the replacement parts that we were coming in there and trying to fix them for all of that. I think the bill was like north of $50 million. And they didn't pay much on it at all, if anything. And it became a problem. So we filed a lawsuit and then we changed our product. And so then the mission was, okay, we're past this Generac thing. We're going to still service these customers and let's refocus our BAM, our efforts in building a movement. Let's take this to the next level and let's build together with these consumers and make them right and get them, different products. I think we're going to use Solar Edge. And then shortly thereafter, the sales were starting to pick up. The BBB gave us our A+ rating back, and they cited that, because you're not using Generac, you're getting this back. So they knew there was a Generac problem. Things started to go up in the up, but we ran out of cash. Putting out, fixing all these systems and not getting paid and replacing all these parts and not getting paid and buying new parts and fuel and converting 80 new install teams to 80 service teams and only a handful of install teams became a problem. And we couldn't manage it. And it was unfortunate. And then the BAM kind of died. You were like, there is no building a movement. There is no bam, we got this. It was survival mode. And how do we stay alive? And how do we survive? And how do we try to fix this? And can we lean on our partners to help us out? And, it didn't happen. And it's unfortunate for all those customers. It's unfortunate for all our employees we had to let go. We had an emotional call with the directors of the company when we closed, and a lot of people were crying, upset, myself. We just, everything we've been through 8 years building this company, we all, believed in and loved and what we were doing in the industry. And all of those customers picked us because they loved us. They knew we were doing the right thing. They saw the great reviews. They saw the experience. They saw the year over year, good reviews and the quality of service we put out and the customer service we put out until this exploded and, tens of thousands of systems didn't work. So then the ones that we did make mistakes on, maybe a leaky roof, maybe this, maybe that, we couldn't even get to them. They're pissed off. And so BAM died. And I was looking in the barrel of, wow, we got to close the company. And we did. And then looking in the barrel of, all these lawsuits coming in, people are confused, and I get it. And we ended up filing bankruptcy on the company, right? And so, the perception out there, like I said, was we took all this money, did all this. People forget this is the third company I built. I've made some money in real estate over the years. I made less money the last few years than I've ever made in business in a long time, and gave a lot of the money back. And all of my value was in the stock of this company, in the equity of this company that crashed. So it died. And when you own a business, you love it like a child. You have to grieve. And it's been hard. It's been hard because, my business partner, Kevin, I love him. He's not a vocal person. So he's hurting and crying and dying inside that this has happened and feels horrible, but he can't get up and be a voice. So I'm kind of alone out there, saying what happened and then taking the media shit and people who don't understand stuff, like I feel like I was in a garage and somebody came in that and murders somebody and then leaves, and then the police show up. This is an example of what this feels like. Then the police show up and they're like, you did this murder. It's like, I didn't do the murder. I mean, I saw it. I could tell you who did it. And nope, you're guilty. It's kind of like the movie Life where Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy are accused of that murder because they were there and they end up doing life. Like, it feels like that, and I'm not putting all the blame on just Generac, but it feels like that. Because a lot of the blame goes there. Most of the blame goes there. We would have survived had they done a national recall early and they were honest with us over a year ago. We wouldn't be having this message here. So, but that didn't happen, and you could haves and should haves and would haves and all of that great stuff. You can do that till you turn blue. And so I had to come to reality that it was over. Then I had to come to reality of what's next. Then I had to come to reality to rebrand and do this wonderful business and money podcast. And where do I have value? Where can I help people? The experience is good and bad. Where can I come in and plug in and teach people, how to grow a business or how to watch out for bad manufacturers or how to pitch to private equity companies or public companies to go public pitch decks, like all the experience I gained, I get it. But now I have this stain right now. I don't think I have a stain. Like, I know what I did busted my ass and gave everything I've got in life for this business to survive and for our customers. But reality is people, some people look at me different. Some people are worried or what happened. And it's all because of the bullshit social media. And it's like, it's wrong. And so, I go out there and I share the stories and I can, but Bam died. Bam died for me. And then it was, I want to bring Bam back. I want to be rejuvenated. I want to be excited again. I want to have a movement where I can shape the world in a positive way, right? I want to be able to getting back to helping people. I want to be able to reflect on painful moments in my past and use these moments and my values to cement, the beliefs and the morals that I have and shape the new Bam. And, where is this pain or struggle that you can relate to someone else's? What clue do you have in your mission might be? Like, I look at, okay, if I've got pain here and I've got struggles here, how can I utilize that to teach, to inspire, to motivate, including to myself? And so a big part of me said, you know what? I'm going to do the BAM podcast, Body and Mind. And then it was, well, there's a lot of value there. Like, I could talk about your body and I could talk about your mind and all the experience I've been through, but I built 3 companies. All 3 were successful until they weren't. So, first one we closed and sold to another company. Second one we sold to another company. Third one we ended up, the Generac Scandal ended up bankrupting us. But needless to say, I have tons of experience. And so I was like, I want to be able to put that in a show. I want to be able for people to chime in and listen in and go, wow, like, that's what you dealt with. Oh my goodness. Like, oh, how did you overcome that? How did you rebrand that? How did you do that? And so the point of this episode and in this show is really to talk about when you're struggling in life and you had a BAM and you got knocked on your ass, how do you re-BAM? How do you rebuild a movement? How do you reinvest your energy? Because BAM's like, bam, right? Bam, like you're getting ready to go. And how do you do that? And for me, what I had to do is I had to sit down and go, look, you know who you are. You know how hard you've tried to fight. Doesn't matter. The truth always sets you free. And the truth out there is what it is. So focus on the good. Focus on the impactful lives you can make. And the whole reason I started getting vocal about bringing Generac into it was I already knew if 10 customers were pissed, they still were going to be pissed because they signed with us. But maybe 3 of them will look into it and go, holy shit, Generac's to blame as well. And really, it's Generac's to blame because of it ate up our resources, right? And it was such a huge wave. Like, we have some of our own problems, but we were always addressing those problems in a timely manner at a very professional way, with high-level service and reviews for 7+ years. That wouldn't have changed if we didn't have the 15,000 customers' systems failing pretty much overnight and the 30,000 plus phone calls bombarding, putting people on hold times where we had to change our model. I bring this up again because if I have to reevaluate who I am, now I'm not a CEO of a company of 2,200 employees. I'm not leading, 4 or 5, executives where, when I lead, it's really like, we have one guy over sales, we have one guy over marketing, we have one guy over the financials, and one guy over production, and he's the president, and everybody reports through him, right? We get in there and everybody kind of collaborates, and then it's like, okay, this is what we should do. Let's talk about this. And then I'll make the final decision, or, they'll all have to sell us on it. And so I don't have that anymore. And so you go through these identity issues of like, what now? And you're having to wind down the company in a bankruptcy, and you're having to, answer to trustee and answer all these questions to creditors and upset customers. And your family's getting harassed because you're in the media being accused of things that just are false, that are not true, that they haven't got the explanation correct. They haven't dug in deep enough to the story and paid attention to the information we're giving them. They're just going on assumptions and fake it, what it looks like. And that's not what it is. Dig deeper and have real news, right? They're not doing that. So it became depressing. It became overwhelming. Shit, it is overwhelming. It is depressing. But I get a choice every day when I wake up. I can wake up and I can bitch and I can scream and I can point the finger and I can get mad and I can blame. And I know, and most of you know, what the facts are of how all that went down. And Generac's to blame for most of it. But I don't need to fight that fight every day. I need to focus on building a new future. I need to focus on being a better husband, better father. And I'm a pretty good husband and father anyways, but just to be better, like AGB, I talked about before, always getting better. How can I go out and bam, like go out and do what I love, and bam, be able to take my values and any information or education and experience that I've learned and share that with people, and, bam, better my body and mind, and bam, how to control to maybe build new business and to make more money and invest money. So that's where the show came from. It's where my BAM came from. And that's where, I get up every day and I tell myself, I'm like, all right, look, I'm going to put in the effort today. I'm going to focus on the positives. I'm going to focus on the map in front of me. I'm not going to look behind me. I'm not going to stick my head in the sand and not know all the bullshit's going on. And I'm not, I walk into the gym, certain people looking at me because they saw me on the news and it was bullshit media that was not telling the truth. I let all that go. I walk in, I'm fucking me. I know who I am. I'm super confident. I don't owe anybody an explanation. I didn't do anything, wrong. I busted my ass. I did everything I could do. I fought the fight, contrary to how people spin it. So my BAM is fighting for my beliefs and my values. My BAM is being out there and sharing truth. My BAM is having empathy and sympathy for those that were affected by this and telling them, look, the fight's not over. There's 2 class action lawsuits over to Generac for consumers. There's hopefully $1 billion lawsuit from Pink Energy to Generac, and whatever that can get these customers made whole. Like, all of these things that I try to share out there to educate these consumers and put them on the right path of there can be redemption. I can't let that eat up all my energy, because that's not just my focus. I still have to provide for my family. I still have to go out and be who I need to be, do this show, look at where I can add value to people or businesses. Like, that's what I have to do. And I go in, I wake up and I'm like, look, I'm going to be the best version of myself. I'm going to go out there and bam it out today, right? Or bamage. I'm going to give it 110%. I'm not going to let these things hold me back. I'm not going to let these things handcuff me and keep me hostage. I'm not going to allow these things to tie me down and tell me, in non-factual information and make me believe this nonsense. I tell some of my friends and family and some of the leaders as we were closing, even the directors, that, all this hate out there and all this assumption out there and this fake news out there and all this nonsense that some of the media is spinning out there, which is bullshit about myself or Pink Energy. It's like an abused child. right? When if somebody's abusing their kid verbally, they're telling them they're a piece of shit every day. You're a piece of shit. You're a low life. You're a piece of shit. You're a low life. And they're really not, but they're being told that. My fear and stuff like this, and I've seen this, I've walked down this and go, ooh, don't want to. You start to believe the shit that people say to you. And you're like, really, am I a piece of shit? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, holy shit. You start replaying it and you have to remind yourself, like, no, dude, no, that's allowing them to win. Get your BAM back. Your BAM is what makes you you. Your BAM is what determines how you're going to make your next move. Your BAM determines how you're going to overcome adversity. Your BAM determines how you're going to punch evil and obstacles right in the fucking face. Your BAM is your fucking BAM. It's not his BAM. It's not her BAM. It's your fucking BAM. It's your body and mind. It's your business and money. It's you building a moment. It's you building a movement. It's you doing whatever it is you have to do. That BAM is just that little oomph, that little drive, that little, I'm going to punch this in the face and I'm going to crush it. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to share love and I'm going to give hugs and I'm going to tell people I miss them and tell them I love them. I'm going to BAM it out with them and I'm going to get excited. That's what BAM's about. And my goals here are to teach you how to find your BAM, how to dig in deep for your BAM, how to get in there and say, I'm tired of feeling this way. I'm tired of being stuck in the corner. I'm tired of not taking chances. I'm tired of not taking risks. I'm tired of not spending time the way I want to spend my time. I'm tired of not being who I need to be. Then you need to BAM it out. You need to fucking step up and you need to say BAM and you need to crush it and you need to take it to the next level and you need to not take any more shit and you need to do what's best for you because you got one life to live. You don't get to fucking replay yesterday. You don't get to replay fucking this morning. That's it. What you've got is in front of you. You need to get out there and give your best efforts. You need to make it count. You need to be kind. You need to be loving. You need to inspire. You need to motivate. You need to fucking BAM it out. BAM!